this was the lesson which we just finished. So, and I'm about to leave the studio and go in the house for tonight. And I'm going to do I've got about 30 minutes before I need to leave. So I do another drawing. This was I put it on the same paper. This is not actually this. Not right. Anyway, it's some old paper that I found, and I'm going to draw this young lady. Doesn't look very happy. She's got a nice scar on her face, but I'm going to draw her, and yeah, quite interesting today, really. What would the tips and tricks thing worked out quite well. This was the how it turned out. I fixed the ear. I fixed the ear. When I left it, I said there was tonal issues. There was tonal issues down here. I just smudged it, and then I fixed the ear. But there were some tonal issues down here. I've just smudged it. This is the same paper, I think. So I don't know. I don't know. It feels like the same. It looks the same colour, so I think it must be the same. When I did a blackface in one of the demos in a lesson, I literally put tone all over the face, all over the shape of the face, and terrified the students. So I try not to do that too much now, because it's kind of one of those things where you know it's going to end up in that place, so you want to get there pretty quick and put the tones on before you start kind of outlining and drawing with outlines. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I've done quite a few black models and male models. We did one with if you're watching, Kevin, when we did one with you, and it was mint. How it turned out was really good. I think there's some kind of, it's like drawing black hair. There's some kind of, I don't know, for me anyway. This is for me, not everybody, but for me, it's like it's almost like a release. You know, it's like I'm not trying to create the. Hang on, the charcoal's going a bit weird. I'm not trying to create the grey tone sort of thing. There's just, it's really fierce. Hair, but where black hair is, the afro hair is amazing to draw. You kind of get away from the curls and the styles and all that sort of thing. And it's for me, I like it. I like it's a lot easier to draw black hair than Caucasian hair. Somebody said to me the other day about you're probably watching this and telling about they've ditched the grid and with the scribbling approach. This is not scribbling. This is not scribbling. It may look like it is, but it's not. There's a guy that does it on I can't remember his name. I think he's Norwegian, and he's scribbling. There's quite a few that do the scribbling thing. This is not scribbling. This is me exploring, trying to find the location of things, but it's not scribbling. I mean, I talk about scribbling in one of the courses in that thinking of it as scribbling as opposed to doing scribbling. It releases the brain from thinking there's some kind of perfection that you're trying to achieve. Let me just get some of these relative shapes right. Before I get too into the see, when I'm doing with things like this, when I'm doing this and I'm applying lots of tone, I'm looking at a distance of things. This here, this is not just about trying to get that sweep, if you know what I mean. It's about how far is it from the nose? How far is the nose in the right place? Is it like nose lined up there? Is the eyebrow right? It's all those sort of things. Where's the mouth? Where's the corner of the mouth? And then looking for all these associations. It's the same if you're drawing a hat. With this hat, once I've got that distance there, for instance, that's been established, and I can start from there. Eyebrows there. Then I've got this here. You can see how that it sort of climbs up to there, but it's this distance here that I'm looking at. You with me? So it's actually finding the edge by comparison. So how far is it from? This is why I talk about you must develop your visual accuracy, be able to see with accuracy. The thing is about that, though, it's something you can already do. If you're a driver, you can already work out how far a car is away from the junction you're about to pull out. So that's the same thing. How far is it from there to there? You know, it's all the same kind of thing. So you've already got that skill. It's just that you think it's some kind of magic, because people tell you that it has to be. Oh, it's like this, that, and the other, 2/3 way from the back of his head and all that kind of stuff. And it's a funny thing. It's like we tend to believe that, don't we? Especially when it's somebody who can really draw. You know what I mean? And you think, wow, he can really draw, that guy. So whatever he says, it must be right. You know what I mean? It's a funny game. It's a funny game. It's like with I was saying with the tips and tricks things this morning. Because the other thing about this as well is that when I talk about charcoal being like a painting, painting medium, it definitely is when it's like this. When it's black and shiny and dense in tone. It's definitely more like painting than. Except you use your fingers, not a lot. Why don't people use fingers for painting? And I've seen. You remember that famous Turner? I think it's a scene when he was actually using his fingers to paint with. In the film. I'm just trying to get the sort of parameter shapes, if you like, just so it gives me a little bit more of a comparison. The size of her eye, for instance. I thought about that this earlier when I was, I did there's one of them, I can't remember which it was now, but there's one of them where I was, it was the lesson. And I was thinking about when you're looking at it, those two eyes are too close together, or those two eyes are, and it was one of the, there's this tip that the distance between the two is the same as the distance. Yeah, just check on that one, because it's not always true that you fall into those habits of thinking it's about those known things. You're it could do more harm than good, especially when they become habits. You don't want that sort of thing to be. Something you can't forget, you can't stop doing, But yeah, I was thinking about the how do you get the eyes the same size thing. I think all of the relational type of stuff, I think that's part of improved observational accuracy thing. I think if you want to first work on that you can get, you can see with accuracy. I mean, obviously, you have to put it down to to be able to see whether you've been accurate or not. But once you've got that nailed, do the dot test thing that I got on somewhere on one of these videos. I was looking at how many videos I've done, and it's just unbelievable. I can't remember doing half of them. So find the one that talks about the dot test. Do that. Find out how accurate you are, and then you can then say whether or not things like getting the eyes the right size, or comparatively the right size, whether or not you can do that. Some sort of blue fabric hanging down there. But once you've got that, there's a freebie course as well on my. I think it's a freebie. I'm pretty sure it's a starting thing. It's a start of the. Is it? Oh, I can't remember. I should put a link underneath this, and then you can find it. But the in there's like things within things. There's like a box within a box, so you can see shapes in relation to each other. It's like a test, but not a test, but just an exercise, I suppose. That's what it is. Do stuff like that. I mean, I do remember the amount of work I used to do to try and get things. I mean, I also work a lot slower, obviously, but I used to try and get the both eyes the same size. Now, because of this, and it's probably really illustrated in this more than anything, is the evolution of things, the evolution of shapes, the evolution of position of things, the evolution of tones, all this sort of stuff. I think I'm more, and that's why you perceive it as being scribbling. I think I'm more inclined to do it that way these days. So you kind of feel your way around till you find it. That kind of thing. I'm more inclined to do that these days than just simply dive straight into saying, right, this is the accurate representation of both these things relate to each other in this way. I'm more inclined now to say, right, the eye's not quite big enough. You see me do it on this, and then it's not quite big enough, and then it needs to be a bit bigger, and so on and so forth. So it's just a lot easier. It's an awful lot easier to trust to let the thing formulate. It's kind of like molding. If it's like painting, it's more like sculpture, because you're gradually pushing it towards a certain size and pushing it in terms of their relationship to each other. So, for instance, now as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that distance there, right? So I'm looking at that. This one's the primary indicator. This hairline here, and then there's a gap there. There's a gap there, and then it comes down here. So I'm looking at those things. So I've got that. Then it's a little bit too far, but it's a bit straighter like that. Then there's an area that goes up there, and then so I'm making all these comparisons all the time. I thought about doing a kind of a spider map, because of the constant checking of distances and sizes and across face relationships. That's the big one for me. Try and make things across the face relate. So mainly because of the domineering comparison. So that hat is a domineering comparison. So is hair. If you put hair down and it's too dark straight away, that's a big problem. But they become domineering or dominating comparisons, because that then sets the tone for everything else. So if that hat's that big, then everything else has to be in line with that. It's the same with tones. If that tone is the marker density, the ultimate density, then everything else has to be in line with that. So it's all about comparisons. It's all about relationships, but it's all about the comparisons of the elements that you're trying to it's not replicate. It's trying to capture in order to capture the essence of this individual. So it's all about that. But so I've got to. You can see what's the problem is. Anyway, it's just right. I've got to put the neck in a tone. It doesn't work if it's just, it doesn't help. But it's just a case of lifting off the earrings. That was all that I think it needed just to do that. Okay. One of the things I do like about this, though, you can see how all this kind of sparkle through the marks. I like all that, and it's hang on. Let me just get this right. It's almost like creating a tonal value, without me trying to create a tonal value. I've just been trying to put markers down to say that's where the things are. But I do like the way that on this, the method of application can actually create this tonal value. So I get to a stage like this where I'm going to sharpen the charcoal in a minute, but I get to a stage like this where I've got all kinds of possibilities, and because it's doing the job already, I can go into cruise now. So up until this point, I've been in drive up until this point. Now I'm in cruise, and I'm just looking at whether or not I need to fix alignments or fix tones, or you can see there's a tonal issue. You see how that? You see how that works there? Look, you see that and that. You see how flat that looks, because it's not, the relationship with that is not right. So that has to step up before it goes into the dark. I can't really get that dark on this paper. This is the one of the downsides to this copy of paper, is that I'll not be able to get to a complete black. So if I can't get that complete black, which is not far off, as you can see, then I've got a hierarchy issue, as it progresses. So the relationship between those two has to be amended, because I can't get to the black. I'll do it sometimes with not the black, but getting the other thing sorted. I'll do it sometimes with hatching and other marks. It's not always, you can see, it's always perfect marks, but I quite like the randomness. It's like on the guy this morning, and I was worried about when I did it that I wrote underneath it, as you saw. So I was worried about that affecting the tonal values. It didn't have any impact on it at all. It didn't make a difference. So as I say, it's surprising, really. And I think that, what that is? That is the hierarchy thing, hierarchy of tones, the balance thing. Because there's no it's not coming from white. It was coming from grey. It was coming from the initial rubbing out that I did with was rubbing out the letters. It's not about tips or tricks letters. So, but that, as I said, is I think that's one of the things. When you're working with this stuff and you've got wacky paper like this, and you don't know how it's going to work, you've got to be aware of these of the tonal capabilities and amend accordingly. Because you've got to, as I say, if you can't get black, what you're going to do, you're going to come back from that. You're going to have to say, right, that's the ultimate, that's the end stop. From that, we've got to come down to, and whether or not you've got your medium's got the capabilities, that's the other thing. Sometimes your medium won't have the capability to do it. So how are you going to do that? You're going to have to employ some kind of crazy hatching in order to make it look But that's the thing. So it's a live and fluid process. And you got to be on your toes when you're doing it. But it's where the fun is, really, to be honest. It's all in the it might not work zone. It's going crazy zone. It's not going to happen zone. It's all that there. It's not in the safe zone. That's for sure. You know, the tips and tricks guaranteed outcome zone. So I'm making the eye slightly bigger. Time is it? Yeah, I'll be all right. I don't want to miss my tea. Let's just got this chin out, and then we've only got a little bit of highlight there as it comes around. That's quite dark. You know, that bit, that even though it's a chin highlight, it's still quite dark. That. Yeah, I had to just stop myself then before I smudged it. It was too light, and then the chin underneath the neck rather is black. It's the hard line there underneath there. So I'll give it some of that. I'm just checking the distances then. Just glanced at that, then I can see that it's a little bit too. The chin's a little bit too big. It wants to go up. It's that distance there. I'm just trying to. Let me just put the corner of my mouth in there. Not right, but let's put that in there. Which is there, and then there's the kind of shadow underneath there, under the bottom lip, and then the bit of a highlight that goes around. You can see then there's just a little bit too big here. So I'm going to bring that up there like that. Okay, that's it. That's it. And I'll fix the I'll fix the mouth as well. Look at this, so it doesn't look too much like a line. Yeah. Just need to get the eyes to just bulge a little bit more. They're kind of not bulging as they should. Maybe the size is a little bit out. I think that might be it. I've got this highlight there. It's coming down from the eye there. There's one there. There's a bit of a connection there, and then there's another highlight here. Rubbers are not great for drawing with. They're just like, it's almost like you're compromising all the time with them. You know, they are invaluable, but it just feels like you want to put it one place and it goes somewhere else. You know, I know there's those pencils and things, and I've got a couple of those. I can't get hold of the refills for the skinny one, and I think the problem with the skinny one, I saw a sergeant where he was, and he must use something. So I doubt it was a Pentel. Or the Tombow thing, but he must use something like that. He may even use a blade, you know, to scratch away. But I remember seeing and somebody criticizing for the fact that he did it, you know. Yeah, there's just some people that get a bit precious, don't they? But yeah, when I've had them, I've kind of gone overboard with them. So, and quickly worn them out. That's the problem with them. They're that skinny. And I think I ordered some, and somebody sent me square ones instead of round ones or something like that, or vice versa. I can't remember. But I've had those other ones. You've seen the thicker ones that I've got. These things, and I've no idea where I got those from. And I've run out of rubber with those as well now. So I've got a tiny bit in the end of it. And that's it. So I never really replenish my tools. It's not until the last minute, you know. It's rubbish. Not very professional, is it? I still just want to draw with stuff, though. So, in a way, I've got this anti tool dependency thing, and only because of the all those years ago, and it was a real habit. You know, I see them all the time with people that have studios full of art materials, and that was me, and I just buy it because I wanted, you know, lots of materials. It's quite the opposite now, mainly because it's a financial thing. But even so, if I had the money, I still wouldn't go out and buy loads of kit. Can't see any point. So I'm thinking about the membership thing. right? And I'm going to pack it in because it's just not worth my while. But I've just seen a guy who's running this thing at the moment. You've probably seen it. It's everywhere. School, it's called, and he's running this group, and he's charging £100 a month, $100 a month. How the heck does he get people to give him $100 a month? It's not that good. It's not like he thinks he's good. It's always a bit of a worry, isn't it? That when people are so, I've never really been a fan of blowing my own trumpet, but I kind of know where I sit in the world. But this guy really deluded is not the word for it. I know he's got 33 people giving him £100 a month, so he must have obviously convinced some people. But that's a lot of money, but just for me, I wouldn't pay £100 a month. Not for him anyway. I might if it was somebody, that if ever I came across somebody that I thought was, had something to share, then maybe I would. But this guy, no way. So I'm going to sharpen the charcoal because I just want to get a bit more precision into some of these harder lines and things. And then I'm going to try and get the whites a little bit lighter because of this. I can't, it won't go to, see this bit here, this ought to be going to white, really shiny. I haven't got, it's not going to do it, you see. So obviously what we're going to do then is everything has to be pro rata to that. So it has to be a lot lighter than the thing next to it, for instance. And so it means there's two choices with that. And I've talked about this before with graphite. Graphite people wander into this grayness, the greyest, everything's grey kind of thing, because they're trying to get the range. And so it gets darker and it gets darker and it gets darker. And before you know it, everything's grey. Very difficult to do. And then there's those that will pick up a bit of charcoal to try to get the darker elements of it, the contrast. And then there's those that pick up the white crayons and do the same thing. Never really a fan of white crayons, though. That's just, everything looks so plastic wrapped with white crayons. I've seen people do it really well, but they're illustrators. That's what it is. It's just, you can just see it's illustration. And I in the past, I wouldn't be averse to doing that either, using white crayons or charcoal or chalk or whatever it is that they use. I don't know. So, apart from, as I say, I need to sharpen the charcoal and put a bit more in terms of accuracy in some of these definite lines, and maybe try and get there. Just keep rubbing away, I think, to try and get those elements lighter. But apart from that, and I'll obviously tidy up the as I did with that guy this morning. But apart from that, I think it's done. Yeah, as I say, I just think I need to get a few of the lines a bit more precise, and then the whites a little bit whiter. Yeah. I'll get this a little bit more shiny, I think is the word I'm looking for. So a bit more progression from lights to the darks. But what we're looking at now, that's a bit of a mess in there, and then that, and then yeah. Okay, done. As I say, I'm back from tidying up a few things, tidy up, and then put the. I'm going to try and make the highlights a bit more highlighted and a bit whiter. But apart from that, I'm done. I'll finish it in the morning when I get back in. So I'll see you tomorrow.